Daniel Ricciardo is one of the most popular drivers on the grid, but people have started to turn against him and lose their trust in his driving skills. They want him to leave. How does a driver who once beat Vettel and was a formidable opponent for Verstappen experience such a downfall? Let's dive in. Ricciardo entered Formula One in 2011, making his debut at the British Grand Prix with HRT. In 2012 and 2013, he became a driver for Red Bull's junior team, Toro Rosso. At this team, he achieved several good results, which resulted in a driving seat at Red Bull Racing for the 2014 season. In that season, he beat Vettel. Ricciardo achieved 3 wins, 238 points, and a 3rd position in the Drivers' Championship that season. Vettel was 5th, without a win, and with 167 points. Vettel had won 4 driver championships before this season. The hype around Ricciardo was at a very high point at that time. In 2015, he partnered with Kvyat, who replaced Sebastian Vettel after he left for Ferrari. In 2016, Kvyat was replaced by Max Verstappen. Verstappen immediately won a Grand Prix and showed he was capable of competing with Ricciardo. Ricciardo still beat Verstappen, but the margins were close. In the 2017 season, it was closer. Verstappen won more Grand Prix races, but Ricciardo achieved more podium finishes. In 2018, it was a different story. The Red Bull car was capable of fighting at the front, and even with a difficult start for Verstappen with multiple crashes, he showed he was the better driver. At the end of that season, Ricciardo left for Renault. At Renault, Ricciardo showed he could compete if the car didn't give up on him. He still showed his signature skills, such as braking late and his approach to corners. He didn't need a lot of time to adapt at Renault. Not only that, but he was on top of his game from the beginning. The car drove like the Red Bull he was used to. This is a key point in his performance at Renault. With a car that still felt like a Red Bull in terms of driving style, he achieved good results and even 2 podium finishes. In 2021, Ricciardo went to Mclaren and his downfall started. This is the first time he was confronted with a totally different car than he was used to. As I mentioned before, the Renault car was somewhat similar to the Red Bull cars he had driven. Next to the different car was also a different teammate, Lando Norris. Norris extracted everything out of the car. He also stated that the car was not totally how he liked it, but he adapted. Norris prefers to take the corner as Ricciardo does, in a U-shape. However, the McLaren car needed a V-style corner because the car can't handle U-shaped corners. The move to McLaren was highly anticipated because of everything he had already achieved in his career. The 2021 and 2022 McLaren cars exposed his weakness, the ability to adapt to a totally different car. He struggled a lot during his McLaren tenure, but still achieved a win. At this Grand Prix, the feeling with the car was right. The circuit of Monza is mostly high speed with fewer corners, which covered his weakness in that car. The most worrying part of the whole story is that he felt he extracted everything out of the car, even when his teammate was miles ahead. We saw Ricciardo less smiley, and he might even have felt depressed because he couldn't improve. He lost faith in himself and his driving skills. In 2023, he was replaced by Piastri and became a reserve driver for Red Bull Racing. After 6 months, he was back in an Alpha Tauri because De Vries didn't perform. Before getting in that car, he did a test with Red Bull Racing and noted times that were comparable to Max Verstappen. Here's the kicker. The Red Bull car still had the same characteristics because of Adrian Newey and Verstappen. Ricciardo was comparable to Verstappen because they have the same driving style in terms of handling a car. A pointy front end, stable rear, and good on the brakes. He just felt at home in that car. In the Alpha Tauri of 2023, Ricciardo was able to find a setup that suited his driving style. The car didn't have a good front end, but with the setup direction he chose, it was drivable for him. The car did get some rear instability, but this didn't bother him because the front end was close to how he likes it. In Hungary and Belgium, he performed quite decently. After that, he broke his hand and was out for a few races. Liam Lawson stepped in and performed quite well for an inexperienced driver and showed he was ready for Formula One. Ricciardo returned for the US Grand Prix and didn't have a good race weekend. But in Mexico, he had a weekend where everyone recognized him again. It looked like the Ricciardo of Red Bull Racing. The rumors of the second seat next to Verstappen immediately started. In 2024, Red Bull gave Perez, Ricciardo, and his teammate Tsunoda one clear goal: show that you are capable of driving for Red Bull Racing. In preseason testing, the Australian driver showed promising pace. He said that he felt quite good in the car. Tsunoda said he didn't feel good and wasn't expecting the team to perform well. The first race wasn't that bad. Ricciardo performed quite decently and finished before his teammate after a team order to try and overtake on Magnussen. In Saudi Arabia, the first problems for Ricciardo occurred. In qualifying, he was half a second slower than his teammate. He started the race from position 14, while his teammate started in 9th. In the race, Ricciardo was slower and even spun on his own. He also had a slow pit stop, which made his performance look even worse. After the race, he said that the team is looking into his car because he is convinced that the car is not working as it should be. For the Australian Grand Prix, the team did change some parts on his car. In the qualification for the Australian Grand Prix, Ricciardo didn't perform well either. In Q1, he was only a 10th slower than his teammate, but his time got deleted. He qualified in P18, his teammate in 8th. In the interviews after the qualification, he said that he struggled with carrying as much speed as possible in the high-speed corners 9 and 10. He even admitted that he was not able to match the time of his teammate in the rest of the qualification. Ricciardo said he was happy with the lap from his side. He got everything out of it. When he saw it wasn't enough compared to his teammate, he was confused. He knows what these qualification laps mean when they feel good. Once again, he said they need to look into it because it's definitely a struggle so far. The small issues the team found after the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix don't explain his lack of single-lap pace compared to his teammate. Ricciardo feeling that he is on the limit of the car and feeling that the car is not working as it should be brought back the issues he faced in his Mclaren days. At McLaren, he also said that something was wrong. After checking the car, the team said nothing was wrong, and it was the way he was driving that tricky car. It might not be the case again, but the things Ricciardo says do look like that period of his career. Now, with his performance not as it should be, he is facing another challenge. Pressure from Red Bull Racing and motorsport advisor Helmut Marko. Marko said Ricciardo needs to raise his game, and it looks like it is a confidence thing. They know he is quick, but it isn't showing on the circuit. His stand-in while recovering from his injury, Liam Lawson, is waiting on the sidelines. He performed well and challenged Yuki Tsunoda. We know Red Bull is impatient and will swap drivers if they think it's better for the team. With Tsunoda and Perez performing really well, his chances for a Red Bull seat are reduced to a minimum. Of course, we are just 3 races into the season, but it doesn't look good for Ricciardo. Do I think he can turn it around and show he is capable of performing? Yes, I do think he can. But is it going to happen? I'm not sure. With the pressure building and not really a sign of improvement, Ricciardo needs to hurry up. What do you think? What is your opinion on Ricciardo? Let me know in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe.